Morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Drar N E Body, a collection of letters that I'm reading out on behalf of my late father Jimmy Hodge, who was a journalist here in Kent, the UK. I'm his son Kevin. Jimmy passed away about 3 years ago now. So in 1999 he wrote 365 odd letters preceding the millennium. So this is my small tribute to him by trying to read out one every day. Today is the 9th of May. Dad covers several things today. One was the Giordano murder case that took place in 1999. Still problems with NATO bombing the wrong embassies in the Balkans. Gwyneth Paltrow trying to do her bit. Television report from New Zealand about how many people might want to go. I'll tell you why in a moment. And lastly, a poisonous cake. Anyway, 2,000 witnesses apparently were being interviewed about the Giordano case, including Cliff Richard, who was said to be a close confidant, but had just felt no one was ever going to be caught if there was no discernible motive. Now, I actually don't know the case that well, and I do think someone was eventually convicted, but think there was some doubt as to why, where and how for, but I think someone was. There was uprisings in China against British embassies because NATO bombed a Chinese embassy in the Balkans, so that's still rumbling on. Gwyneth Paltrow, bless her heart, wanted to go to Kosovo because she felt some of the images were so terrible she wanted to go, and Dad said, okay, as long as you're on latrine duty, but I never know quite whether that was true. Apparently, in the millennium when it comes, lots of people were preparing to go to New Zealand to see it before anyone else. And as Dad said, well, really, he was all around the world and he'd seen it rise in far-flung places. And although he's impressed sort of with the sunrise, it never impressed him that he saw it before anyone else, particularly his mum. And he quoted a song, says, the lucky old son ain't got nothing to do except roam around heaven all day. Don't know the song. If you know it, please tag it and let me hear it. His PS was a bit weird, as always. There's always a good PS, isn't there, with Dad? A slice of cake was stolen from a police station in New Zealand and they wanted it back, primarily because, guess what? It was poisoned. And they wanted it as evidence, so hopefully no one actually tried to eat the cake, or they might come a cropper. Today, on the 9th of May, just to give you a bit of a flavour of today in 2025, 2 gentlemen were convicted today of cutting down the Sycamore Gap tree in Northumberland. Don't know if you know it, but it was a tree that just sat in a sort of a gap in Northumberland, went next to Hadrian's Wall, and 2 middle-aged men, for reasons best known to themselves, just thought for a laugh one stormy night they'd cut it down for reasons I don't think anyone ever got to the bottom of, other than it was a lad's thing to do. Opinion is a bit divided, even in my own house. It was only a tree, no one died and no one really got injured, and yet to other people it was a sacred tree that had been there for centuries. So I tend to err on the side of what was going through their mind. Why is it people think it was only a tree, so we'll cut it down? Why do you have such a low understanding of nature, really? So it's a bit sad, isn't it? Apart from that, just signed a trade deal with Mr. Trump in the Americas. He's slapped 27% on everybody. Now it's come down to 10. It was 0, but we're made to think we got a good deal. Seems what I would call the art of the magician, really. While you're creating the trick on this hand, you're actually misdirecting with this one. So Mr. Trump slaps 27% on everybody, recedes down to 10 and makes you think you've got a good deal, even though perhaps 6 months ago you paid 0. Very weird, that, isn't it? It's like saying you're going to go to bed for 10 hours, young man, and then you reduce it to 5 and not the 0 that it was going to be had you been a good lad. Anyway, enough of me. Thanks for watching. Have a nice weekend. I'll try and get this tomorrow's out, sort of perhaps earlier in the day. Okay, take care. There you go.